Okay, so we need to talk about how corrupt a lot of these Christian churches are. And especially in the black community, a lot of these, black churches or whatever that we grew up in, how corrupt they really are. And especially a lot of these pastors are so corrupt. And it's just like let me tell you, G, it's taking everything in me to not expose whom I'm talking about. It's taking everything in my body to not come out and expose who this person is. But instead of exposing whom I'm talking about, I'll just expose what they've done. Okay, so I grew up Pentecostal Christian. That is what I had to, that's the type of church I had to be a part of by default. I didn't have a choice. Okay, I was christened, as a baby. Like when they christen you or they bless you, christened in a Pentecostal church, and I was baptized in a Pentecostal church. And if you are wondering what that is, it's like apostolic churches. Okay, so I'm from Chicago, and there are various apostolic churches in the city of Chicago. There are some that are on TV. I don't go to the one that is on like television every single Sunday. For those Chicago folks, that's not the one. But anyway, the pastor I'm talking about came from that church. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, basically what happened is when I'm dealing with stuff with my dad, my narcissistic dad, like our whole family goes to the church. Now I stopped going to church years ago. I'm spiritual. I don't go to church anymore. But anyway, what happened is recently, within the last few months or so, it was like, what was this, November of 2023. So basically what happened is I was dealing with stuff with my dad, and I was, sending him messages, I was sending him emails. It was just a lot of stuff of me just letting out my anger. So what happened is my so basically what happened is in the mix of all of this happening, my dad reached out to my pastor, and he basically is was talking about how, like, basically the words of my dad was, my daughter, she's saying these things on social media about me, and she's not in contact with me. She's blocked my number, and I just don't know what's going on. I just don't know what I've done, and yada yada yada. The bullshit. They always don't know what the fuck is going on. So he's sitting here like playing the victim, trying to act like he doesn't know what happened. And then at some point, like, my dad gives my pastor my number, and then my pastor calls me. So he sends me a text and was like, "Hey, this is Pastor so and so. Can you give me a call?" So then when I give him a call, intuitively I feel like this is about my dad. So then that way, when I get on the phone with my pastor, he's like, "Do you know why I'm calling you?" I was like, "Well, if I can go with my intuitive nudge, I feel like it has something to do with my dad. Like, did he reach out to you?" And he's like, "Yeah, your intuition is correct. Your dad did reach out to me." And he's saying these things like what I have reiterated before. So I'm just trying to get your side of the story on what's happening. So I start telling him my side of the story. And then at that point, my pastor calls my dad back and everything. And then he was basically telling my dad, like, "Hey, listen, I've heard what your daughter has said. Now, I personally think that as of right now, she needs to stay away from you. That I agree with the fact that she has blocked you, and I feel like you need to remain blocked because she's too emotional right now, and it's not going to be a healthy thing for her to talk to you and be in contact with you without her, like, going off." So then basically, my dad's a liar. He's a damn liar. So he's lying, and he's talking about, well, like, she's saying these things on social media and all of that, and I just wish that she would stop. I just want her to stop talking about me on social media, and I just hope that maybe you can talk with her and convince her and tell her that she needs to stop talking about me on social media. So pretty much at this point, my dad does not care about my pain or my hurt or how horrible and abusive of a father he's been. He only cares about his reputation and the truth getting out. So basically, So basically, he's just trying to get my pastor to like convince me to stop making my content about him, which is not gonna fucking happen. No, I have freedom of speech. This is my life. So then what happens is, it was kind of like, I had the initial call with my pastor, and then my pastor called my dad back, and then after that my pastor called me back. We only talked on the phone twice, y'all. Twice, just twice. But in the second call, my pastor had said something to me that really irked my nerves, and it really made me lose a lot of respect for him. So basically what he tells me is, he's like, your dad was, saying how that he would be willing to have a meeting with you and him and I, and that he would be willing to apologize. He would be willing to take accountability. That's what your father has said, per your request. Because that's something that I mentioned to my pastor. Like, I'm like, well, if you want to have a meeting with him and I and you mediate, then yeah, I'll be willing to talk with him. But I'm not going to talk with him without like a mediator. So then I'm like, well, if he's willing to do so, then yeah, like, I'll have a meeting if he's willing to actually apologize and take accountability. So basically my dad tells my pastor what my pastor wants to hear. Like, yeah, sure, I'll take accountability. I'll apologize for what I've done, and I'll say sorry. I'll apologize to my daughter and all that kind of stuff. But really, I really just want her to not like talk about me on social media. So I really want you to, she's saying some stuff on social media and she needs to stop doing that. So can you get her to say stuff? And apparently, in the mix of the conversation, my dad made it seem as if I had said something very recent. And around this time, I wasn't really talking about him on my social media at the time. Like, the only stuff that he was referring to was the stuff that I had sent him prior, before he reached out to my pastor. But then in the mix of like the whole conversation going on with me and my pastor, I wasn't talking about my dad on my social media at the time. So at that point, my pastor, when he gets on the phone with me the second time, he's like, okay, well, your dad is basically saying like he wants you to not talk about him on your social media platforms, and I'm just hoping that I can get an okay from you that this is going to cease to exist. This is gonna stop. That's what I'm hoping I'm going to get from you. And here's the one thing that my pastor said that really ticked me off. He's like, now, I'm talking with your dad, now I'm talking with you, and I do have a lot of other things going on. I have other people that I have to get, help out with. Other people are wanting my help, and all of this stuff really that's going on. He's talking about me and my dad. He's like, and all of this stuff going on between you and your dad really is just wasting some of my time. It's wasting my time. And really, I just want to hear from you as if you're going to stop making the videos, so that way I could tell your dad, and then this problem is going to be resolved, So here is a pastor that I've known for 20 years, since I was 6 years old. Okay, the same pastor that baptized me. I have been inside his office talking to him. I'm not the one that reached out to him this time. My dad did. And my pastor has the nerve, the audacity to tell me that the thing that's going on between me and my dad, when my dad reached out to him, is a waste of his time. But you're a pastor, but you're supposed to be helping the people. You're supposed to be helping your congregation, helping out your church community, your church family. But you're saying that we're wasting your time? That's messed up, bro. That's really messed up. And I'm like, now I understand why people were sending you nasty freaking emails. Because if that's the attitude that you had towards me, you probably had the attitude towards them as well. So yeah, that's why I will never set foot in that church again. Never.